beginning. My name is Body by Brandy, and I'd like to welcome you to Fit Boston and Beyond. It's my first show, so I'm all excited. So if this seems a little crazy, you know how the first show goes all crazy. But Nieisha Deed, I am so glad that you decided to be my special guest tonight and that we're going to talk about a topic that, Black people in the community kind of don't talk about. But it's important that we talk about and that people get a real understanding of mental illness. So again, I'd like to welcome you to Fit Boston and Beyond. This is my first show, so boof, I'm gonna blow you my magic, and I don't know if you've seen me do this. So you catch it, and then you blow it back, and there's a great synergy that's about to happen between you and I that's gonna be powerful and shake people up in their homes. So again, Nieisha D, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for reaching out and inviting me to come onto your platform for your show. That means a lot to me. I've always loved Body by Brandy. I remember when y'all was in Dudley. And I mean, I talk about it with my sister all the time. Like, it's like living single. You go in there, you see all these Black people working out, and it was like always my favorite place to go. And it's so nice to see that you're still doing this work in the community. So yes, my name is Nieisha Deed. I'm the founder of an organization called Pure Spark, born and raised in Roxbury, Roxbury all day. I went to Howard University and graduated in 2005, started my career off in corporate accounting. But in December of 2017, I suffered from very serious depression that led me in the hospital, and I had suicidal ideations and attempts. And then I decided, hey, I'm leaving corporate America, and I'm going to start working on first my mental health, and then I guess using what I learned to help other people too.
So you said you started this company called Pure Spark, and then I'm going to go back and start, talking more about your journey on healing, because when you speak about mental illness, there's a sense of healing that we marginalize and the experience that people go through. So first, I want to say thank you for sharing your story with everyone. That means a lot to me. And I'm glad that BBB was like living singles to you, because it was the club to us. We had a great time exercising and keeping everyone in shape. With that being said, tell me more about Pure Spark, because you had to do all these things to get to where you are right now. So tell me more.
Right. Yeah, so basically what happened, I guess, in December of 2017, without going into much detail, and I just want to give people a trigger warning because some of the stuff could be a lot to handle. But I'll share resources with you for people who might be triggered by this conversation. But in December of 2017, I found myself at a crossroad. I was working a 6-figure job. I had reached the American dream, so to speak. And I was, on my way to purchasing a home. But I felt like, oh my God, I'm so empty. I am not happy. I'm not living my purpose. What is going on? And those thoughts led to me getting deeper and deeper into depression. And then the stress induced it even more. And I found myself in a very, very dark place that I could not climb out of on my own.
So what exactly is mental illness? Because you were just saying this dark place, and not really. That's why I wanted to go back a little. With that being said, go ahead.
Yeah. So mental illness is basically defined as a mental state that keeps you away from doing things that you routinely would be able to do. For example, with depression, specifically depression, you're unable to get out of bed, you're unable to take a shower, you're unable to take care of yourself, and those type of things. And the state that you're in, I can't, it's so hard to explain it as a person who's lived it. It's sometimes even hard for me to put it to words, but it just feels like a weight is on you that you cannot shake. Like, no matter how much you try to be happy and all these different things, the depression, it has this heavy, heavy weight on you that just takes away all of your ability. And that's why it is categorized as a disability. You literally can receive benefits from the government because mental illness is classified as a disability because it's so disabling. It takes away a lot of things that someone who is mentally healthier, and I put that in air quotes because I don't think there is ever a person that's completely mentally healthy, right? You know what I mean?
You said that. Yep, that's important.
It is. I believe that it is literally on a spectrum, right? And being mentally ill, there's varying degrees of that, and being mentally healthy, but no one is like perfectly mentally healthy, especially living in America, especially with COVID. Especially being a black person, you know,
black person,
especially being a person of color. Like, how can you be totally, completely, you know, I don't have any issues? Well, you know, we're all dealing with something. So that's my definition of mental illness. Now, if you look it up, you might see something different, but that's what it is to me.
Around there, but I want to ask you another question. What are some of the main causes? Because you talked about this 6-figure job. Nieisha, we all know that most people, you know, one of their big goals is to get a 6-figure job, to be able to buy a house. So you're talking and saying that's pressure, but I'm saying that's not pressure, that's living it up. So tell us a little bit more about, because in life, and I like how you said there's pressure at every level. So you go ahead and elaborate a little more on that.
Yeah, I think, Brady, that obviously there's a lot of people that have aspirations and goals that have a monetary connection to it, right? So, you know, we want to be millionaires and whatever, but we're not talking about the emotional side on how we want to feel. I want to bring this to attention to people that there are people that was making way more money than me that have had mental health issues. Tamar Braxton recently was in the news because she had a suicide attempt, and she got way more money than I ever have. Okay, so I want people to start thinking about how just money does not solve all issues. Okay.
Okay. Well, they say make it a little easier, so okay.
It does. I will never say there is an importance of having money, right? Because we need to eat, and we need a roof over our head, and we need to take care of ourselves. It's a resource. However, I think that aside from that, we need to make sure that we keep in mind that I'm doing a job now that I love, and you know, it's totally different than me doing a job that I hated before and I was making 6 figures. Not that I hated it. Let me say I wasn't passionate about it.
Okay.
I had no passion behind doing accounting and keeping the books for rich folks all day, every day.
Right.
I could care less.
Okay.
So I had to, my issue, what caused me to go down this rabbit hole of depression and mental illness, partly was due to the fact of me going to a job every day, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, but going to a job every day where I could not bring my true self. I couldn't bring Nieisha. Like, you know, I'm 6'2", right? And I like to wear my hair natural. I couldn't bring that to work. So I would have to mask myself and make myself seem smaller than what I am, and all of these different things in order to assimilate to corporate America. And doing that every day, for me personally, was damaging to my mental health. I didn't realize it until it was that late, but yeah.
Now I want to say something, because you bring up a good point. We talk about Tamar Braxton. Something that you said, and a lot of people do it and don't even know they're doing it, wearing a mask. That's deep. That's deep. Because when I think of Tamar Braxton, I think of all the times that we say, oh, she's got it made. She looks this way. You know, she dresses this way. And then to see her, you know, and I won't say crumble because that's not a word I like to use, but to see her slowly, you know, fall apart in some ways was just like, wow, not Tamar. So when you talk about that, what are some suggestions for dealing with mental illness? Because that's really important, is how do we deal with something maybe we don't even know we have?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll talk about what has helped me personally, because one thing that I know for certain is that we're all different, right? But there are some commonalities. And I think one of the things that helped me was my support system. I probably would not be here if it wasn't my family members who took action when I went one day without talking to my family. Do you know they called the police? They called my building. They called everybody. It was like, yo,
I know that's right.
they knew they had the wherewithal, and I'm blessed because I have families who are in the mental health field, so they knew something wasn't right with Nieisha. Okay, and so they were keeping tabs on me all the way from New England. I was living in DC. They were keeping tabs on me, and when they did not hear from me for one day, I had the police at my door the next day when I woke up, and that was after the day that I attempted. And they was like, hey, your cousin, is concerned about you. Are you okay? And I couldn't lie. So the saving grace for me, number one, first and foremost, is community. Community is so, so very important. Having people around you that love you, that care for you when you're up and when you're down. You know what I'm saying? And also, too, knowing yourself. Like, I think it's important to know when something's off with you, because only you know when something's off with you, right? So if your sleeping habits have changed, if your eating habits have changed, if you're no longer, socializing the way that you used to socialize, there's so many different indicators that you kind of have to know your own baseline to know, oh, shoot, something's off with me, and I need to go check in with myself first. You're the first line of defense. You got to check in with yourself to know, oh man, I don't feel so good. Something's off. Let me go see my physician. Let me go see my doctor, because that's the first line of defense. They're going to be the one to kind of triage you and say, okay, let's run some tests. Let's see how you're doing. Oh, we're going to give you this test and ask you certain questions because we think you might be depressed. And that's one of the things that happened to me at one point was I took a test, and the test told them that I was depressed and that I needed to go see a psychiatrist or a therapist or both.
I also want to say something that you said, which kind of got me thinking, is you had intervention from your family. That's big. Now, a lot of people don't have intervention from their family or someone calling the police saying, could you go do a wellness check? So you had someone calling the police saying, could you go do a wellness check? Say I'm by myself, really not close to my family. There's something that you recommend. You said go to the doctor, go check in with someone else. How does someone else, or what other suggestions would you make if someone doesn't have that kind of support system around them?
Yeah, so like I was saying before, you honestly, you take care of you, right? Like at the end of the day, you are in charge of your health, whether it be fitness, mental health, spiritual health. It all is your responsibility. Not to say that other people can't help, but it's up to you. So having that awareness first is super important to know when things might be off. Because number one, when you go to see a physician, they're going to run some tests on you. They might run a thyroid test, a blood test, whatever. It could be something going on with you biologically. It could be a new medication that you're on for high blood pressure or something like that. That could be causing your mental state to be different, right? So they're gonna do their due diligence. And if they don't recommend that, I would say speak up and advocate for yourself and say, hey, can you run some tests because I'm feeling this way. This is a new feeling for me, or whatever have you. And make sure you're advocating for yourself because they're there for you. You pay them. Get those tests done, and still, if the tests are negative and come back normal, then the next line of defense is you taking a test in their office, and they would probably determine from that test that, hey, look, we need to get you into some type of therapy or something like that. And if it's extreme, where you're feeling like you are a harm to yourself, go to the ER.
No, it's serious. No, but you're serious. And you bring up another point when you just said go to the ER. African Americans we're really not friendly with the doctors. We're not good friends. So what you were saying that, I want to talk about that stigma of therapy, that stigma of going to get help, that stigma of us feeling uncomfortable with going to the ER.
Yeah, it's real. And I think even when we're doing the wellness check, right, and having the police come to, it's startling, especially because the state that we're in right now, and we know the relations with the police in our community aren't that great. I sometimes don't even mention doing the wellness check because that in itself could be very triggering. So there are organizations like the BEST team, the BEST
Yeah.
team,
Uh-huh.
that could also intervene. And I think that the best thing it's hard, right? Because people always put their I think that people put their mental health last. They put it kind of like, oh, okay, it's all right. Like I got bills, I got this, and I got that. But it's really important if they can to take that moment and have a plan in place, especially if you've experienced mental illness in the past, especially if you've gone through depression in the past, maybe you were suicidal at some point. Have a plan. Have a person that you can call on when you're not well to let them know, to check in with you. Hey, look, I'm not feeling so good. Blah blah blah. Somebody you feel you can talk to. Have somebody even that could come and like make sure your bills are paid, your lights stay on, and or whatever have you. Your mortgage gets paid. Your children are paid. Have these people in place, okay, as a plan, as kind of like an insurance plan, an in case plan, especially if you are somebody with who might be high risk. And when I say high risk, I'm talking about somebody who's experienced this in the past. Um, those are proper procedures I think to have in place.
When that's occurring. So, how have you incorporated exercise or meditation? What are some things that you've incorporated that have been really healthy in bringing your mental state to a healthier level?
Yeah, so for me, Brandy, it was first me leaving the job that was toxic,
Okay.
right? And I always talk about this job because it was a catalyst for me doing what I'm doing now. It was a toxic environment. I didn't realize it then, but I realize it now where
Mm-hmm.
the carrot was always in front of my face, like, oh, work a couple extra more hours, make a couple more $1,000. Like, oh, come on, keep going, travel more. You'll make more if you travel. You're away from your friends and family and all these other things like that. So I had to kind of leave that because you can't heal in a toxic environment, right? I
I
can
know
tell you
that's
all these great things to do, but if
right.
you're still in a toxic relationship, if you're still in a toxic job, none of this is gonna work.
I know
You
that's
can
right.
throw it on the trash. So number one is leaving that toxic situation that's causing you so much grief, and stuff like that. And then number two, depending on your situation or what you're going through, whether it be anxiety, whether it be depression, um, who knows? I always say the starting point is a doctor,
Okay.
then possibly a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and then between those two, I feel like you can kind of take off in so many other different directions. So for me, my different thing that I did was yoga,
Oh,
meditation, being out in nature, staying really close to good friends, like supportive friends. I realized how big that was. I probably put that as number one. Like that's huge. Um,
so did you get rid of people in your life? Like, did you
I
change
stopped
them?
communicating with some people as often as
Okay.
I might have before in the past, or people that brought up some things for me. I kind of moved those people to the back burner and then spent more time with people who celebrated me and poured into me, back into me. Because I'm a giver by nature, but you can't give from an empty cup, and people have to also pour it back into you. So they always say your network is your net worth, and all this, things, the importance of community, it really does matter. Having the right people around you is a life changer. It's a game changer.
So
Yeah.
tell me more about Pure Sparks. I know you're currently, I was reading more about how you're getting a lot of the therapists together and coming up with this page. Tell me more. Let everyone learn more about what you're doing, because I'm always excited when people in the community that we walk by and know and say hi to in the grocery store and or in, Marshalls, when we see regular people, everyday people make a difference in the community. So tell me more about what you're embarking on and how we can support it.
Yeah, so thank you. Pure Spark has been around for almost a year now, a little bit over a year. It'll be 2 years in May. And it really started, like I said, because of my own personal struggles with mental illness and then me getting better to the point where you see me now. But another thing that happened was me losing 5 family members. By the time I started this project, I had lost my 5th family member to suicide. And because of those two things, I had this fire in me. Like, I gotta get this information out. I gotta get this information out. Like, I can't. Like, this is a problem. This is a serious problem. So we have a Facebook page, an Instagram page. We're all over social media. You find us anywhere. Just put in your Pure Spark and you'll find us, or just put in Pure Spark, you'll find us. But the first thing that you could do is follow us on social media.
Okay.
That's simple and easy to do. Another thing that we offer is every Wednesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock, we offer what we call a peer support group. And that's really where I felt like the social media posting wasn't enough. I wanted to really interact with people a bit more intimately. So every Wednesday night, we do a peer support group. It's called Peer Support by Pure Spark. And we teach people things with licensed therapists or psychiatrists, yoga teachers, all focusing on specifically mental health. So last week we talked about sleep hygiene. A lot of people's routine and sleep has been off because of COVID. And we talk about ways that people could improve their sleep, because sleep is so important. It helps us function. It's important for fitness, mentally, everything. So important. Yeah. So we go in on Wednesday and we try to educate people all things mental health. And then tomorrow we are launching our really Massachusetts first and only directory, wellness directory for Black folks. Our market and who we are trying to help are Black women, particularly Black women around my age, mid 30s to early 40s. But really anybody who can enjoy it can come on. But that's who we target. It's a population that is really stuck between, 2 generations, obviously. And they're at a point in their life where they might have, reached their goals in their careers, and they might find themselves like, dang, I'm still like how I was. I'm like, I'm not happy. I'm not at peace. What else is missing from this? Yeah. And
that's so great.
Yeah. So on the platform, on the directory, we plan on having life coaches, therapists, anybody who's going to help you be the best you. That's who we got on this platform. And, the hope is we make it very easy and user-friendly for you to find this information so that you can get the help that you need.
Oh, my God, that's so great. So it launches tomorrow. And how will people be able to find? I know you're on LinkedIn. I know you're on Instagram and Facebook. So they'll be able to find all of this information and get in contact with you as well. I'll run this again because I truly like to hear stories from people I know and how they can change people's lives. So just to have you come on the show and talk about mental illness, to me, is life-changing. And you've changed someone else's life already, because what you said is it's okay. And I like something else that you said. It happens to everyone. Whether one day you're happy or one day you're sad, it doesn't matter. We're not always in a great mood, because that's just life. So is there any other words you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's so important to make sure that we take care of ourselves, because it's no one else's responsibility. We are responsible for our own wellness. I am a big, big, big advocate of self-care. And self-care does not necessarily mean you got to go to the salon and get a massage and stuff like that. Self-care could be as simple as you saying no when you don't want to do something. And I know we got a lot of people pleasers out here that be like, oh yeah, I gotta say yes to everything and da da da. Say yes to yourself.
Say that again.
Okay. I said say yes to yourself.
All right, people, you heard it first. Say yes to yourself and say no to others if it's causing you stress. Nieisha, I want to thank you for being here. It's been great. You guys, I want to say my first show, Fit Boston and Beyond, and we're just going to be getting better and better. And I'm going to be bringing you the best in health and wellness in Boston and beyond. So, Nieisha, again, I'm going to give you a round of applause for being here. So give yourself one. Take care of ourselves. And again, boof, catch my magic. Have a great day and enjoy your evening, everyone. This is from Fit Boston and Beyond. And thanks again to my special guest, Nieisha D. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.